One of the things that I love and has been a really great piece for me to be transparent and be vulnerable in regards to sharing my story has
Yes.
been the power of gratitude. And for somebody who's actually gone through, multiple suicide attempts to come out to where I'm at now, I refer to it often as what we call the beautiful struggle. And this part of being human, right, is to realize that you have the ability to learn when things don't go the way that you want. You have the ability to adapt, and this human spirit that allows us to continue to press on even when things look very bleak. And so as you look back and reflect on your career, your life, is there any specific pieces of gratitude that you would like to maybe highlight, maybe for the first time or just in general? For us, it's a piece that we really love in regards to our segment, to be able to maybe even just give that thank you publicly to anybody that might have helped you along the way.
Of course. And thank you for sharing that personal information about yourself. And it's something I've never personally experienced, but I try my best to understand where somebody could be at that stage in life. And I see it more as a forced march that people have to do. And I can almost relate it to the people that can cross the ocean, get out of the desert or leave the mountain when they're exhausted and have broken bones, but they still find something in them to continue on. And so I don't know you very well. Obviously, we're friends and we're going to learn a lot more about each other in these years, but there must have been something during those days that only you know about that got you to pick yourself back up, to weigh the options and to realize that one thing was more important than another. And forced marches are fine as long as they don't last too long. And when you're on this march, what you can do is start picking up things along the way. You can't maybe carry it, with you the whole time, but there might be some food you can have, wind on your back, resting under a tree. And so these sort of things along the way on my path, from the positive reinforcement of my language where people corrected my grammar so I wouldn't embarrass myself. Someone showed me what the culture was so I could participate. Someone explained to me the tradition so I could respect it. These are the sort of contributions that assisted me on my travels, so my car just kept putting along. But I had certain, and I can't really call them dark days. They were just days that it was like a Sisyphus where you're pushing the rock up the hill and it kept coming back down. And 80% of people usually quit. And so those are some of the dark moments when you ask yourself, do I give up? But then you go back and you ask me the question about my childhood. I made that commitment to myself prior to even high school, that I was going to live a life of adventure. I wasn't going to be someone that gets shoved into a, train car or be one of the thousands walking down a sidewalk in a big city with a briefcase. I just didn't want to go into that Pink Floyd, meat grinding machine like all the students did. And I didn't want to be faceless and nameless and just a number. You get 100 years here. I don't want to make a fool of myself or be notorious. But I also realized that there was some sort of destiny I had of personal fulfillment. And one of the mediums that I was able to achieve this was through languages. And that sort of Wu-Wei philosophy of least resistance. This language opened up so many doors where it almost carried me into this position, into Costa Rica, into the marriage to my Costa Rican wife. And so there's no way I could have written this when I was in Philadelphia. And if someone said to me, hey, you'd be an owner of a call center and you make this money, but you have pinball machines. Whoa, pinball machines. That's the first thing I'd be asking about. Forget all that other stuff. I don't need, remember like the movie Big?
Yes.
He started making money. He was jumping on the trampoline and had all that fun. So yeah, that's me. It's not those bells and whistles. It's the goodies that come with it. But I guess it makes it sweeter. And, when you make it to the top of the hill, it's more of the journey. And I'd love to tell you there's shortcuts, but there's not.